Another one of Node's built-in modules is the path module, which is all about working with file paths. This will be a little bit boring, but I think you'll see that they're very basic and useful when writing your own code, and therefore it's a good idea to know them. Now, instead of creating a file for this lesson, let's just do this from a Node prompt. So first, we can get the path module by doing require path. And now the first method that we're going to look at is path.normalize. The way this works is we pass it a path that has some extra characters in it, and it will clean it up. And here's what I mean by extra characters. So let's say we have a path that has, for example, here you can see we have 2 forward slashes when we really only need 1 between directories. Normalize will clean that up. We can also have a path that has the dots for previous or current directory, and normalize will clean those out as well because they're not needed. So you can see if I run this, you can see we have this is a path being printed out. You can see that our double slash was cleaned up, our dots were cleaned out, and because 2 of these dots mean go up a directory, the something directory is not necessary, so that's cleaned out of the path as well. So you can use normalize to make sure you have a nice clean path to display. We can also use path.join, and the path.join will take a series of directory names, or whatever they are, and combine them into a single path. So for example, we can have this is, let's put some slashes around a path, and you can see that we have this is a path being printed out directly. And so it joins them with whatever the directory delimiter is for your operating system. Since I'm on Mac, that's a /. If we were on Windows, this would be a \. And it also cleans up the slashes that surround our path components. We also have path.resolve, which is kind of like a combination of normalize and join. What we do is we just put in a bunch of path changes. So I might say /this is /what, ... and path. And the way this works is it's like we're CDing from one to the other. So it's like we do CD /this. Then from inside there, we do CD /is /what. Then we do CD /... CD a, CD path, and then after that we do pwd to print out whatever the working directory would be after all that. And what our working directory would be is what's returned from path.resolve. This is what our path would be if we did this in a normal command prompt. The next one, very simple, path.isAbsolute. And this just tells you if a path is absolute. So /yes is of course an absolute path, and just yes with no / is not an absolute path. We can also use path.relative to find one path relative to another. So if I say this is and I want to find /path relative to the first path, you can see we have ... /path. And notice that's because these are both absolute paths. So this and path are sibling directories. Then there are some things we can use to break our path into components. So for example, we have path.dirname, which if I say this / is a path, note when I do this, path here is considered to be a file, not a directory. So I could do path.txt, for example, and it's just considered the exact same thing. The directory in this case is this is a. We can do it in reverse and say path.basename and get the file name. So if I say this is a path.txt, then you can see that path.txt is our file name. If I want, I can pass as a second parameter to basename a file extension to remove. So for example, .txt, and then you can see that the file is just called path. If you want to figure out what that extension is, you can do path.extname. And if I pass it my path, you can see that .txt is the extension. There's also path.sep, which is short for path.separator. And this is whatever the path separator is on your operating system. So in my case, that is a /, but if you are on a PC, that might be a \. So we can use this when splitting up a path. So I could say this is a path, right? And then I can say .split. And I could say split it on the /, right? And that would work just fine. However, if I was writing a Node module that I expected to run on Windows as well as Mac or any other Unix operating system, it would be smarter to use path.separator in here, or path.sep, instead of putting in a hard-coded /. And this way, this would work on any operating system. Finally, there are 2 more functions. First, there's path.parse, which will take a path and break it into pieces. So I say this is a path.txt, for example, and you can see we have an object returned with a root, a directory, a base, an extension, and a name. We can kind of do this in reverse. If I say path.format, I pass in an object with some of these parts. So I could say directory equals this is, and then I can say base equals file.txt, and you can see that it prints out this is file.txt. So you don't have to include them all, but whatever you do include, it will put them together. So this is the node path module. Very basic, as I said, but if you're creating modules that read or write files in any way, some of these functions will probably be useful to you.